Hello and welcome to the video. We're going to be checking out a plugin from the guys over at waproductions.com, and this one is a chorus plugin named Orchid. Taking its inspiration from the 1980s era, Orchid is a chorus plugin which actually doesn't double your signal, it quadruples your audio signal with 4-way chorus processing, and there's also some extra unique features that you don't tend to find in other chorus plugins. So let's have a look at the plugin, the controls, and then dive in and do a quick couple of sound demos and see how we feel. First, let's start by familiarizing ourselves with the interface. It's a clean design with all the controls nicely laid out and labeled. There's no fancy symbols or anything that's too distracting to stop you from working and getting on quickly using the plugin. So that's a thumbs up. At the top here, we have the Orchid logo, which can be used to bypass and enable the plugin. And this is actually a better way to bypass the plugin, as in your DAW, sometimes when you use the bypass, it can cause your DAW to sort of stop briefly for a split second as the plugin gets unloaded. Whereas when you're doing it from the logo, it's instantaneous and you won't get any pops or dropouts suddenly, which is nice. On the right here, we have the preset manager. You can use the arrows to move backwards and forwards between the presets. You can also load presets from the folder content and also save your own. The only downside to this is that when you click on the actual preset name, there's no drop-down list to navigate through the presets, and I'd probably appreciate that being in this more than doing it this way, and a lot of people will probably agree with me on that one. When it comes to the actual controls themselves, we have all the standard controls of a chorus plugin. So we have the speed, the depth, we have the wet, dry blend for the processed and unprocessed sound. We have feedback, so we can increase the signal going back into the loop. And then we have the spread dial, so we can control the width of the processed signal in the stereo field if it's wide or narrow. Down towards the center, we have an input slider to increase or decrease the input signal going into the plugin. We have a view for the waveform that's being processed with all of this stuff. And then we have an output slider, so we can attenuate the volume or increase the volume depending on what we need to do. Down here is where things get interesting. So we have the shimmer dial, and the shimmer dial is a special effect that adds up to 2 octaves above the original audio, and it generates harmonics that are sparkly with a slight phasing effect. So that's coming straight out of the manual there. And it does give you an interesting sound, especially on more percussive elements when comparing it to, say, vocals or something like that. Here we have space, and this is basically just a reverb that helps glue things together between the effects. And the delay is a way of delaying the process signal. So you can have up to 100 milliseconds you can apply to delay to carve out space between the original audio and the chorus signal. And then over here we have the high pass filter and the low pass filter, so we can actually shape the sound of the chorus if we want it to be brighter or darker or more fuller across the spectrum. So that's really handy. And then finally we have a mute source, so we can completely mute the dry signal and only listen to the process signal while we're dialing it in, and then click that button and it all goes back together again. So it's pretty cool. So let's take a listen to Orchid on some different instrument tracks. First of all, let's start by listening to the drums. Let's add some shimmer to this. Let's play around with the high pass and low pass filters. So you can get some really interesting sounds out of this. I mean, I'm sure you could spend hours playing around with things. But let's move on to a different instrument and take a listen to the vocals.
I don't don't wanna do it no more. I 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 don't wanna do it.
I definitely like how it sounds on vocals. It seems to open them up a little bit more.
I don't wanna do it no more. I don't wanna do it no more. I don't wanna do it no more. I don't wanna do it no more. I don't wanna do it no more.
Let's take a listen to how it sounds on the keys track. Now you may be wondering, is it worth buying another chorus plugin if I already use the one that comes with my DAW, or maybe you've downloaded one of the many free chorus plugins which are available today? And the answer to that is maybe. What Orchid does is a little bit different to what's already out there, and it does have some interesting sounds you can pull from it. But whether or not those are going to be usable in your productions, or if that's the type of sound you desire, that's entirely personal preference at the end of the day. For me, I think this is a very usable plugin. It's very cheap at the moment, currently on sale for $7 or $8, I think. And if you're in the market for a chorus, then obviously head over to WA Productions' website. I'll leave a link below and try to demo out on your tracks and see if you like what you hear.